This is one of the best all-around portable power stations that I've tested in the 1 kilowatt hour range. It has great solar input, faster charging time, and a great balance of portability and power. This is the Anker SOLIX C1000 that they sent me to review, but as always, everything in this video is my own opinion. So first off, if you don't know what this is a battery unit that can provide AC and DC output power. It fits in the range of my sweet spot for these kinds of power stations, and it's the kind I recommend to friends because it can run a full-size refrigerator off the AC ports in addition to a lot of other things. I'll show you some of the things it can power, even how long it can run my refrigerator. So what I'm going to do is give you a physical tour, talk about inputs and outputs, show you some demonstrations and tests, and then share my final thoughts on this guy. First off, let's start with a tour of the unit. It has handles on either side, makes it easy to pick up and carry around. You really only need one handle because it's not that heavy. I'll weigh it and show you. On the top, it's flat. There is no wireless charging pad up there. In fact, many portable power station makers now are not even putting wireless charging pads up there, so that's fairly normal these days. On the front, there is a light. When you push the button, it's low, medium, high, and if you hold down the button, you get an SOS blinking feature. There's a nice looking screen with several different colors, sort of a white-ish blue and then a darker blue. There's two USB-C outputs. One's a 100-watt power delivery. The other one is a 30-watt USB-C port. There's two USB-A ports. Under this cover is a 12-volt car port. You can control each of this section and the AC sections with these buttons. And on the app, the AC outputs are amazing. Look at this. There are 6 of them. I was very impressed when I saw this and I said, good job, Anker. I love having all the plugs. We actually used all of these recently when we were out at the end of the street charging up all of our kids' scooters and hoverboards. And so all of these outlets came in handy. All 6 of these outlets are spaced out great. They all have the 3-prong outlets. And this one right here is a little bit different. You can see the style. This one's made to handle up to a 20 amp output. The combined output of all these outlets is 1800 watts continuous. It can bump that up for a short period of time and output 2400 watts. On this side, which is the exhaust, they have the blue tinted fins. Here's a door. This is where you put the expansion battery. If you do connect this in, you get double the capacity, which will give you 2,112 watt hours of storage. On the back, there isn't anything. And on this side, this is the air intake for the cooling. You can see the blue trim. There's the XT60 input for solar input. Can take 600 watts of solar, which is great. And then also here's where you charge by wall AC. Now, something that I really like about this very simple choice is that there's no door covering this. So many of them have a door that covers these. I don't like that, but I like that Anker didn't put one on, so I can just plug my things in right away and start charging. And then here is what the bottom looks like with the 2 rubber feet. So I mentioned you could double the capacity of this if you connected an extra battery. Natively, this unit has 1056 watt hours of storage capacity. The cell chemistry inside is lithium iron phosphate, very safe chemistry and long lasting. This one is rated for 3000 cycles down to 80% of its original capacity. So if you're not sure what a cycle is starting at 100% state of charge, draining to 0, recharging it back up to 100%. That's 1 cycle. So if you did that every single day, you're talking close to 9 years until you get to that 80% of the original state of charge. So a very long-lasting chemistry. So how much does this whole thing weigh? I'm running the scale off of the AC inverter. It's clocking in at 28 pounds and 12 ounces. So to me, one of the most important things with a portable power station is its solar input. And the C1000 is kind of top in its class for this size of power station in that it can accept 600 watts of solar input. So to test that, I have 2 bifacial 385 watt solar panels. They are wired in parallel to stay under the 60 volt limit. And I have full sun on these. I'm not quite sure if it's the most optimal angle. So you can see I'm inputting a little over 500 watts of solar power, which is really amazing for a smaller-ish portable power station like this, a 1 kilowatt hour portable power station that I can hook up 2 rigid solar panels to and charge this up. And right now it's saying it'll go from the state of charge is 45% and it'll get charged all the way up to 100% in about 1.3 hours. Of course, you can also charge by wall AC, but I want to show you something in the app that's interesting. You can talk to the C1000 with the app over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, but right here you can select your charging speed. So I can go 200 watts, I can select all the way up to charge at 1000 watts. Now let's do a test of the ultra fast charging. We'll plug it in, we'll Start our timer. Next, what we're going to do is turn on ultra fast charging in the app, smartphone app. So this will take the AC charging level from where it's set at up to around 1300 watts. So one of the reasons this toggle is here, it's not fast charging all of the time, is because if you click on this little icon, it gives you a tip. Basically, this is saying it's always better for the battery cells to charge at a slower rate. So they give you this option when you need it, but in general, you want to charge at a slower rate just to keep the temperature down on the battery cells and help prolong their life.
One of the things I really like about these kinds of smaller units that have a large inverter on them is that you can run your full-size refrigerator with such a portable unit. So let's see how long the C1000 can run my full-size refrigerator for our family of 7.
So this test lasted a long time. I got an alert on my phone that the charge was getting very low, so I went up and I saw that the C1000 ran our refrigerator nonstop while we were using it for 7 hours and 9 minutes. Still talking about the outputs, as I mentioned before, the large number of AC outlets was very helpful when everyone had their scooters and hoverboards out one time. We could keep charging them when there wasn't an AC outlet nearby. Next, I want to test the UPS feature. Basically what this is when you have grid power coming in, it's getting passed through these AC outlets in the front, but what happens if you cut the power? Does it switch over to provide power to these AC outlets in under 20 milliseconds as advertised? So I'm going to run a video up here and I'm going to have this little light on and we'll see. Video's going, light is on, there's no battery on this laptop. And so let's pretend there's a power outage. I didn't see this light flicker and the movie is still going. So I was able to switch over from grid power to battery power fast enough that the laptop kept running. Here's another output test with a toaster oven. I'm actually toasting a bagel and it's having no problem outputting over 1400 watts. And since I charge this up with solar panels, I'm having a solar powered toasted bagel. So now I want to test what Anker calls the surge pad features, the icons underneath this little meter. So in addition to the toaster oven, I have a space heater. This is about 1000 watts. I have it on the middle setting. Do this test without the meter because this can only handle about 15 amps or so. So I have the space heater on. It's outputting about 1000 watts. Now let's turn on the toaster oven. We'll keep an eye on this output. Look at that, 2400 watts. That's incredible out of this little machine. So I ran this test a couple of times and it seems like it could output 2400 watts for about 25 to 30 seconds before it goes back down to that 1800 watts. Next, let's push the AC inverter past its limits, see what happens. I got rid of the power strip. I have the toaster oven running, and so let me turn up the space heater. Let's go right to high and see what happens. All right, there it goes. It went into overload and shut down like it was supposed to, and I got a warning on the screen. I also tested the AC efficiency. That's the power you get out versus the stated capacity. I run these tests about half of the continuous output, so that's about 900 watts, and it scored a very good score of 88% AC inverter efficiency. Next, I'm going to show you the smartphone app. It's pretty cool. You can see the state of charge, the internal temperature on the battery, the inputs and outputs, DC and AC. Right now you can see I'm using 95 watts on the USB-C output. And down here you can turn the 12-volt card port and the AC output on or off with a toggle switch. And also something that's interesting is you can click on this little timer and set a auto time off. So if I want to have the AC inverter turn off after an hour, I just select an hour and you can see that the timer is already going down. You can even control the light on the front of the unit. So turn that on. And then under settings, there's a number of things that are very handy to have. You can have a timeout mode, screen brightness. There's a screen timeout and the most is 30 minutes. I wish it was longer. I wish they had like an unlimited timeout because sometimes I want to see the screen all the time, but that's one little thing. And probably the most important thing though is the firmware upgrade with a touch of a button. I just click on that and it says I'm currently on the latest firmware version. So here are the accessories that come with the C1000. Of course you get your AC wall charger, your manuals, you get your car charger, and next you get an XT60 parallel connection in this whole wire. So this goes to that end and plugs in, and then these go into solar panels. Again, this can handle up to 600 watts of solar. So it's kind of interesting that they chose XT60 here. I know the Anker 200 watt solar panel has an XT60 output this will plug directly into. But if you're going to use other solar panels, they typically have an MC4 connector, and then you wouldn't use these, so you might have to get a different cable if your solar panels have an MC4 output. So what are my overall thoughts on the C1000? This power station has a lot going for it. It's powerful enough of an inverter to start and run a compressor and a refrigerator or a chest freezer for many hours, and portable enough to pick up with one arm. I like the design with the flat top and the handles on the side, like the 6 outlets in the front, and I didn't mention this before, but I like how quiet this is. I felt like it was pretty quiet overall. I definitely like the 600 watts of solar on this one input right here. In terms of suggestions for improvement, besides some of the things I mentioned already, I wish it had more USB-C ports. I feel like there's so many devices that I have that I want to plug in to one of these units. And I also wish that they had more than one USB-C port that could output 100 watts. Overall, this can be an excellent choice for someone who's looking for these specs or maybe isn't quite sure which power station to get. For example, I just recommended this to a friend yesterday who was unsure, and I said, hey look, you can take this most places, and if there's a power outage, then you can use it to run your fridge and other devices at home. So if you're interested in the price on this guy, check out the description below. I'll keep it updated with the latest deals and specials that I know about. And if you're interested to see another review on a power station, check out this video right over here.